but that's the thing about what we're doing as a community. Is like, I mean, for me, I most of the ideas I get that I use is from other people, right? I mean, that is not, that's somebody else's idea of me doing this. It's not even my idea of doing that, you know. And so I take on board whatever someone's saying. And the other thing I was saying, like, that's Jared's idea. Hannah's idea was that we do a comic book this year, right? Get kids to draw their own comic book. So, you know, kids comics, you know, that's basically our kids comics.
So are you going to compile them and present them?
Yeah.
That's cool. So is it going to like 1 or 2 page strips? There's a bit of a push for kids to do a whole comic, I think, probably.
Yeah, no. It's basically 1 or 2 page scripts, and they get to draw. We get 6 panels, right? We'll give them 6 panels on a page and say, put your name up here and whatever, you know, and then draw whatever you want and tell your story. You can team up with a friend, right?
Oh.
Or do it by yourself. And it's got to be black and white, no colors, because it's at this point, printing. Yeah. Colors.
They can always color them in afterwards anyway.
Yeah, they could always color them in afterwards. And that's the other thing, right? So it's like you're coloring.
There's some beauty there.
There is some cool thing there. So the other thing is, then I spend my time, probably going to take me 2-3 weeks to put it together, compile it all together. While I'm doing that, Shane is going to do a cover for it.
Oh, cool.
A special cover for it. And then
with the kids' characters.
I don't know what he's going to do. I have no idea.
Characters. You got to sneak in the kids' characters. Imagine how special you'd feel if you were a kid and you put your comic in there and it was in this book. Yeah, you'd feel pretty special. Cool.
There you go. Another good idea. So we're the ideas people. Or you're the ideas people. I'm just a person who tells somebody else to do something else, right?
Well, it's really nice initiative, though. I mean, I've always said you're a good businessman because, like, you see things through, which is cool. An idea is one thing, like you said, but making it happen is another, which is why I can sympathize with some of these creatives because it's hard to make things happen, and you do that generally, which is good.
I think the most of the time is to be open to people's advice on that. And I think a lot of people and this is what I find really hard about anal retentive artists and creative people. And I've dealt with them when I was coming up when I was learning art, right? I mean, not learning art. I've never learned art. I've always been able to do it. You either have it or you don't have it. As a creative person, you can learn design, right? You can learn design, which I've learned, but I've always been an artist and good at it before even I went to any art thing. So what I found really horrible when I was coming up in the art schooling, right, was watching someone kick a piece of food that I had made and then turn around to me and say, I'm saying, why are you kicking my food? Oh, I'm just creating art. I'm like, no, you're not. You're kicking my food. I'm like, you have nothing to offer to anybody around me. Thank you very much. You're not creative. You're not actually doing anything productive. You're just wasting something. And I thought that was pretty, that was a designer in my head. That was a guy, not in the sense of like, not designer. Designers are pretty cool people. We're very smart as well. A hack, right? Someone who's trying to hack at.
He kicked your food.
Yeah, he picked up a piece of sausage roll at a party at my place because we were all artists were there, and he just turned around. He's a year ahead of me, right, or 2 years ahead of me, and I'm like,
"Is a twat." Yeah.
is this what an artist is? Well, I don't want to be an artist.
You just needed to like stab him or something, and then string him up a tree in an interesting pose, and then you show him some.
Well, I could have just turned around to one of my big mates and said, "Hey, look, he just kicked our food off the balcony, mate."
I know the type now that you mention it. I mean, you're right. It sounds like the kind of person that might land an advertising job and be a smuck, but
and be able to do that.
Yeah,
but
unfortunately,
I think that's a cool thing about where we're going with this is saying to kids, right? With the kids comics is you like drawing, right? We're doing comics, right? Maybe in 10 years, keep working on this. Whatever doodle you're doing, maybe in 10 years, you probably come and tell us you know, you've got a character that you've got a great story around, and then, or maybe 5 years, hell, you know, you might even come back tomorrow and say, look at my work, and you know, can you do something with this? And I'll be like, I will try. But here's where we start. We go, well, put on a piece, you know, draw something out.
Well, it's kind of as an artist or creative person's fantasy anyway. Like, I like comic books. I want to see your comic book printed, even if it's a page, is special, especially if you're young.
Right.
So it's real cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you
can an adult sneak into the competition?
Well, it's 18.
Oh, what about 40-year-olds?
High school. Well, if you want, you could try to, you know, if you want to do a page to add.
I'll just have to make my art more scribbly, and then you won't be able to tell. And I'll get a little kid to bring it over.
Talking of which, I've actually done one of my, for that, I'll show you this one here. This is done about 20 years ago on purpose.
Is that Jacinda?
No.
No?
This is the art, I think I might have done 2, but this is one of them. This is especially done in it says, today, a child with a cigarette, tomorrow a soldier with a gun.
Do you think, looking at the picture now, that cigarette's placement isn't the best? How it's in line with where the guy's wiener is?
You had to go there. We're talking about kids here, dude.
I'm just seeing it. Sorry. You got to think of your composition, my friend.
No, it's just a
metaphor in there.
So I purposely did it like it was a kid's drawing on purpose. I went out of my way because the theme was kids, right? So I had to go out and like go backwards in my art style. And
I like the writing there, though. What's the writing? Is that?
Oh yeah, it's I think it's Cantonese. I remember I talked to I was on a film. I was on a flight back from Fiji or to Fiji, I think, and I was talking to and I can't remember where she was from. I think she might have been Korean, in front of me, and I was just talking to her about stuff. I said, hey, look, can you write down this in Cantonese? Or it might be Mandarin. I can't tell them apart because I.
And then you copied it and transcripted it there?
Yep.
That's cool.
Wrote it down on pencil, and then I went and wrote it on this. So this is what's one of my oldest 20-year-old paintings that I have that did. And it's paint and what else? It's paint, pencil, and pen. It's silver pen. Remember back, silver pens were very, very the cool thing 20 years ago. I know kids still use it now, but it was
silver pens are still cool.
I know, I've got a few, but I'm just mean like they're paint pens, like they were really the in thing. So, but I mean, I have done proper oil paintings and stuff that I don't even own anymore. They're big, huge ones. Like I've done like
they're in a gallery somewhere.
I have no idea. One day when I'm dead, people will probably gather all around and have my work on the exhibition.
They'll celebrate it. They'll toast it.
Yeah, the old dead man's
crack open the good stuff.
Gallery opening. Showcase my work. But you're right. Look, I understand the thing about sometimes, talking back about Patreon and stuff, how, supporting artists. I mean, I've got artwork that I haven't finished yet that's sitting there and has been sitting there for about 5 years, I should say. And there's other stuff that I'm waiting to finish, but I'm not going to I'll put up saying this is what's happening. But, it'd be nice to have a Patreon of my work. Wouldn't that be cool?
The only way of doing that is to put yourself out there and try and convince people to back you. And that's exactly the people that you're complaining about.
I think
here's my recent art. Look, I'm making a game on G-Develop called Dog Ball.
Are you doing like the pixel thing?
I'm doing a week game jam, and so I had a theme of got no time, so I thought Dog Ball, like dogs playing dodgeball. And my brothers helped me out with that art a little bit. Where are we?
What is that called?
Pixel art.
Pixel art. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you bring it closer? Because I know that. Yeah. When you look at it,
screen share.
It's not.
Oh, they're there.
The Huns. Nice. Did you copyright that?
No, but it doesn't exist. So I mean, like technically,
No,
I'm
you
the
still need
first to
to.
do it. But I mean, like when you're a
No, no, I mean,
creative
you still,
person, like you can't own everything you make. Like you just have to put it out there and see what happens.
yeah, it gets to a point where people rip you off, and I've been ripped
I
off.
spent
That's why I
5 hours trying to figure out how to make it select a random iteration because I made it
yeah.
spawn these characters,
And that's
and you
why
meant
I
to
say, that's why I say
pre-plan their
need to
movements.
register it or copyright it. And hey,
Oh,
talking
well,
about,
game jams are just
you know
about
Miguel,
sharing
right?
creativity, though. Like
That
you
is
don't.
true.
Hmm.
And that happens a lot on game sites, right?
Well,
So
it's a
I
lot of fun
understand
though.
that.
I mean, the biggest asset you get from it is doing it and learning.
Right.
Like that's the biggest gift. Like it doesn't really matter
Yeah.
if someone ripped me off and like was successful with it. I mean, yeah, it would irk you a
If
little,
you,
but
yeah, but okay, if you are already okay financially, then that's okay. If you feel, if you feel that way.
but
But if
then
you say,
do
like,
you
there's
agree that
someone who,
creative people don't do it for that though? Creative people do it because they need to
and
create, or
that's
they
where,
want to create, or they
but
enjoy
that's
creating.
where, but that's where that horrible thing of poor artists comes from
Yeah,
because of
but
that.
then that's when they need the Patreon side, isn't it?
That is true. And I think I should find me a patron. I wonder if there's any patrons in Whangarei or New Zealand that'd be just like, here's this much everything, and because all this shit we are doing.
Well, I guess you kind
Yeah.
of do that with Creative Northland. Like they're your
Well,
patrons.
well, they're patron of the community, really. To be honest,
No, but they're a patron of you
that
by
is true
choosing
as
to
well.
support you. So you have
Sorry,
got
I'm
one. There you
distracting you.
go.
I
I
pulled out
hope you
my shoulder
deliver.
today. Yeah, I
When's your
went
game
to.
coming out that you're working on, by the way?
Oh, I've given it 3 years.
Holy sh!
Yep,
Really?
I'm going to write the story out
And
before I put it.
is this the guy's first project to
Oh, not
making
mine,
of,
not mine, not mine. No,
no, the other guy
I'll
though.
give you money. Oh, no, it's
Is
already
it
out.
his first what?
It's no, it's up to chapter 5 or 6, 7, or something like that.
So he's been doing it for ages and you've just joined
Yeah,
in?
almost about under a year. He's been doing it under a year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And you reckon
I got
3
involved
years
later.
is it just really long?
No, you release a chapter each time, so a month or every 2, 3 months, depending on how much work goes into it. So other people release theirs like every 2 weeks. Some release it every week, depending on how much
Oh.
context.
I haven't
And
seen it. I just was thinking game and I was like, oh yeah, like there's a whole product.
itch.io,
thing.
itch.io. That's where you can
Yeah,
get it.
I'm on there. That's where I game jam.
Yeah. So
It's
I'll put it up here just for other people to check out later or now or whatever. But itch.io is the website where you can basically, I think it's dollar per dollar. So you pay, the artist gets a developer gets $1, thing gets $1 or whatever
So
you want
who's
to
the
pay.
creator of this one you're working on?
I have no idea.
But you're teaming up with him.
Yeah, I just know his handle.
Oh yeah,
That's all
what's
that
his
matters.
handle?
I can't tell you
Why?
because I'm not telling anyone.
Well, I could look at it then.
I don't want you to look at it then.
Oh, okay.
That's what I said. This is like when I come out and create my own game, it'll
But
have my name on it. Malfunction will be on my game, right? Or Aru's thing will be on my game. And the reason I'm doing all this hard work in game development and learning and co-writing, editing with this guy is because I want to be able to make an incredible game one day. Or
doable.
a red dot game for Shane one day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the reason. Here's me at 48 years old, half my life probably over, but learning new skills. As I say, there's no you're too old to learn something new. And at 48, and I've just turned 48 on May 1st, I'm learning it because I know that I would like to see these visual novels versions of our characters. I would like to see a friggin' figurine of, sorry to use this one, but a figurine of of Incredible, which mind you, a friend is working on doing the 3D image of it right now.
Cool.
And hopefully it'll be done in time to be doing it at Plunge. Oh, sorry, this was I was going to put that website there. Yeah, so I've given it a date that at least that time so I can give it to the library to print out. And so we're going to print, if it's done in time, we'll print out a whole bunch of these and we'll give some kid one of these, right? For, as a prizes for the coloring thing. So
Nice.
the whole thing is to develop a community of creative people to actually be able to take them into where they can set up their own business, where we can say, can you do this? We come back, we give them money for that work, and then we go produce, and then we make money. We sell our merchandise and so on, right? Like we've done with Colders. We've gone out, hey, can you put this for us? All right, cool. We ship thing, and then we go and sell it. And this is the way we keep our community working, because we're actually coming into our community hand in hand, back and forth, a relationship where we're actually helping do things what they call in-house, right, in our community. And our community gets a benefit, we get the benefit from it, and we develop new creators. We develop more people to be able to be independently prosperous, right, by doing what they love. And I think that's why I want to learn gaming. Why I wanted to learn gaming, because then I can reach out to someone at Engine Room and say, hey, how many students you got that are interested in doing something like taking my story and turning it into a friggin' game, right?
Neat.
Like, and we're set. And then we go, okay, so here's my script. Who's the coder? And next thing you know, you've got a whole friggin' studio, because I was able to go, can you do this for us, right? Can you start this one chapter? Here's a story, and show us how we're going to do this. And I think there is no reason, like we talked about this earlier on about how Dunedin's popping up. They got all this friggin' money there. It's like, well, why can't that sort of money come into our community to help us be more productive that way? And I think,
I think it can.
It can, of course it can. But I mean, the problem is that, like they say, it's like, what comes out of Jerusalem? That sort of, like when they're talking about Jesus, what good comes out, what?
Yeah, you need your big winners in the scene to landmark it. But I'm pretty sure we all can apply for the same grants that Dunedin can apply for.
Yeah,
I'm pretty certain we could.
And I think we, next year, I want to be able to start working on the Incredible game and say, hey, let's get that going. And then not only that, right, I want to be able to actually grow an animation studio in Whangarei as well, have that developing as well. And I want to have a comic book and animation. I mean, we started the comic book studio ourselves, but we want to have an animation studio and a gaming studio developing and happening in the next 10 years in Whangarei. Because what's going to happen is you've got kids here at 10, 12 years old who are playing, Minecraft and whatever else. What are they going to do when they come out of school in 8 years or whatever? And we don't have anything for them when they've learned all these skills stuff at school, and so they leave. And then then the government will complain about brain drain. Then the communities will say they're just leaving us. Look at all this talent we've invested in, but we're sending them overseas, which they did, right, about 20 years ago or 10 years ago or something like that, 15 years ago, because they didn't think that IT was a thing for New Zealand, and so we lost 10,000 people to foreign countries because we couldn't provide them with jobs, because we were so closed-minded 15 years ago about IT in New Zealand and game development and CGI and filmmaking, despite the fact that Weta was up and coming hard out, and it's just, it's Weta. I think it was Weta that basically made people turn their head around in New Zealand and say, wait, this has all been done in New Zealand? It's like, yeah, because they're doing it on their own. You guys were just, wouldn't help out. And I think that's where the community funding is a bit, what it is. I think if we can get more, more people with visions of, say, the next 10 years, like, think 10 years, not think tomorrow or day after, but actually 10-year, what's going to happen to our kids in 8 years from now, 10 years from now, then they'll start weighing up the options. How much money should we invest now? you know. And that's where my brain is like, well, I'm thinking, well, these kids, when we try to do our kids, you know, a kids comic thing, right? And this wasn't my idea, by the way. It was Anna's idea about the kids comic thing. Or it was more about like kids do a, you know, draw a comic book, but it was somebody else's idea, Trisha's idea, that we put it into a comic book rather than just painting and coloring stuff. So I took, you know, we took that and I started saying, yeah, well, why not? Why not? Why not? Let's do it then. And then now the thing is like, well, why don't we do it every year? Right? My thing now is like, okay, once we do this now, well, aren't the kids going to come back? Are you doing it again? I'm going to go, or I'm going to go, yeah, no, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Yeah. So I'm, you know, I think that's the thing. It's like basically making sure, because here's the thing, like kids, as they say, are resilient, but the kids also need to see things happening on a regular basis, you know, to see something is going to happen. You know, that's why birthdays like. If you're going to say, well, I'm going to be there at your birthday and you don't show up, you know, kids are going to feel a bit bummed out over it. So can I add that to the stream?
Yeah, you should. I just pulled it up because this is a game I made on G-Develop that's on the GMTK Game Makers Toolkit Game Jam at the moment. And it's up for voting. I did it DC themed. It's like a jumble game.
So this is RTV.
I advertised NZCC.
Is this early game development?
I made it in a 48-hour game jam. Just to show the kids that we can do it.
Hour game jam.
So what you do is you match 3 kids, like 3 characters or items from a particular genre, like Green Lantern or Batman, and it resets the screen. So if we go through, this is all that. And so what I'm doing it as is like an educational kind of learning game. And so if you click on Black Lightning, it ticks the hero there, Black Lightning symbol, and then you find one of his villains hidden in here somewhere. And so I've made it so it's perfect set, so everyone's got their proper villains in there. Tobias Whale. And
okay, so is this like a snap thing?
No, this is I made it on G-Develop.
No. Is it like you gotta flip them over and show same thing?
Yeah, so you match a hero, a villain, and an extra, so a symbol. So I did
I see what you mean.
What's name? John Stewart, Green Lantern symbol, and then we got Despero there. You got
so if I go,
Superman.
So hold on. So if I go Superman, Lois Clark, and
so I got Kryptonite,
Darkseid, or Lex Luthor, would it work?
Yeah. Yep. So if they're there, so there's Bane up there. So if we slap Bane on, he's obviously with Batman. And so I made hundreds of different cards for this.
Would you be able to bring this to Plunge?
Yeah, I mean it's on itch.io. It's there.
But I mean, like, can we have it to show kids at Plunge, like they can play there? This thing.
Yeah, it works on tablets and everything. It works on cell phones. I haven't formatted it for it, so in game development, the layouts.
So can you what is it called? Can you send me a screenshot or thing of it so I can make a poster up and I can put a link to it on the poster?
I'll send you the link and you can check it out.
Oh yeah, true. Do that for me, and then what I'll do is when the kids, because I'm doing the whole engine room thing, right, with the game development this year. So this could be a game that kids could play on their own. They could figure out, and this is really cool. I think it's for a young kids thing, or even young adult.
Well, you have to know for this one. You have to know your comics, so it's the general knowledge of. I can make a Pokemon theme one if I want to.
Right.
I don't know Pokemon super good though, but someone could.
Well, you could do a Marvel one.
Yeah, well, I really wanted to do Marvel. I just kind of started somewhere. And then see if we click the reset board one, so your score's counting up, you get a whole different set. So you got Green Arrow on there instead.
Yeah.
Catwoman. If we refresh again, we've got different ones. Star Labs with the Flash.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So that's my game that I made.
That is cool, man. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
it's pretty solid. I accidentally broke it, so word to the wise for game developers. I was polishing it up for the 48-hour game jam, and that bit where it refreshes the screen was working perfectly, and I thought, shit, I'm sorry, I need to put in some instructions and a title screen. So I made that in the last minute. And then when I was doing that, I was tidying up the scene names.
Yeah.
And then by tidying up the scene names, I changed the name of the main game scene. And because the refresh is the game scene, I broke the refresh. So the game works once on the sites at the moment. When I realized, I messaged them, but it's 5,800 people entered the game jam, and mine might get disqualified because it's got the DC theme in it. But educational, I learned lots doing it. But I fixed up my problem
free,
in
right?
2 minutes.
I mean, it's free. So I mean, it's free to download off there and all that.
You just play it online.
Oh, okay, so you could basically put in the link and you're done, and it gets you to it. This is cool.
It's one of your itch games. It's there. So as a puzzle, I call it jumble with
since I've been on itch.
With the 3 on the end because you make sets of 3.
It's really cool, and I think I think kids would be into it, and I think it's a good way for kids to learn into I mean, it kind of reminds me of Snap, or Match.
It's based on a memory game, but I changed the rules and the way it played. So I edited the whole thing to make it play different.
Yeah.
But it is based on it.
Usually with memory games, it's just 2 cards, a pair. Now you got triplets. So
it was that. So I upped it. So like with comics and with anything else, with games, like there's very little new stuff. So what I did is I took the existing thing and I altered it and made my own thing out of it. And then by having those 3 different things, it's super hard. If you don't know comics, you're not going to be able to do very many sets. So it's a knowledge-based thing on that. So I'm calling it a trivia game because of that. And because I do that, I'm able to use other images. So if you're doing a quiz show and you pull up a picture of Superman and go, who's this dude? Like that's fair game. That's learning. That's knowledge. And so I'm going down that avenue. But that one came out quite nice. I need to polish it up. I did that in 48 hours. There was a lot of cropping and cutting pictures.
What's that other game where you could basically move pictures, things around? Have you done one of those before?
Like a puzzle? I mean, you could. How you do that is you have all the bits in little squares broken down and they'd all be numbered neatly. And then on the screen, you'd have a format where it has the same numbers. And so if piece 1 is down on the bottom corner and you move up to the top, it locks in. So programming is really interesting because you have to learn everything real different. And
no, I mean, there's the other one where you got like one empty space, right? Or
where you're sliding around.
Yeah, the slide thing.
Yeah, well, that's the same thing though, because at the end, your thing is to get.
Do you think? Could you do one for me in 3 weeks?
To be honest, it might be a little boring, but there's not much to it because you're touching it and the bit goes and moves, but you have to make it understand where the pieces need to be at the end. Is the only challenging bit of it, really. Well, I mean, it's challenging in general.
I send you an image of Incredible, and you can make one of those up.
It'd be easier to put it in my jumble thing. But I just need lots of different character pictures.
Yeah, I think we're not at that stage where all our characters have been exposed yet to the in comic form.
But yeah, I can have a think about it. I mean, I don't 100. It's cool to try and do these things though. So like you said, with experimenting and learning, like I wouldn't mind trying to figure out how to make a slider puzzle. I can't picture it in my head exactly. But it's definitely doable. Anything with programming, interestingly, is doable. So it's it might just be really hard or take a long time.
I mean, that's the cool thing about gaming, though. I mean, like you look at where we've come from sprites to where we are now with CGI, 3D imagery, to dots on people to create a film. Soon it's going to get boring when seeing everything being CGI.
I don't like everything looking super realistic. It bothers me.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be that, especially for creative stuff.
Yeah. I think
we've actually gone way over the hour.
We have. Yeah. Well, let me finish with Incredible here. Right? Like we were talking about the kids' comics and what the reason for that, and now why it's going to work there. Like I said, it wasn't my idea. I just built on somebody else built on somebody else's idea, and I just orchestrated what we're doing. And then, you know, hopefully we get the funding we need for it. And I'm working on that right now.
Is it on Kickstarter?
No, the kids comics.
No, the Incredible, isn't it?
It'll be up there at the end of the month. Yeah,
oh, yeah.
It's a month late. The reason it's a month late is because I'm doing all this other stuff, right? And this is why I'm like slowly wanting to step back slightly from Plunge so I can actually concentrate on what I'm supposed to be doing, which is running a comic book company. But instead, I'm trying to help my community, you know, build a bigger audience and build a better, receptive community to kids' arts and their development in the artistic form. So, like, I mean, like, one of the things I said, like, the reason I want to do this, you know, why because every time you do something, somebody will ask you why you want to do it, and then you have to think, like, it's like when you do something with, you know, create something, paint a picture, and then they say, why did you do it that way? I'm like, I'm not the person that likes to explain that shit, and it's been the problem with me ever since art school.
I think most artists wouldn't, though, would they?
Yeah, that's the thing. So I'm the artist, and I don't like to explain my artwork. I just want people to enjoy what it is.
Either you get it or you don't, or you enjoy it.
Yeah, the only thing I want people to do with my artwork is be able to touch it, right? Be able to put their fingers on it, and that's all that matters to me. And if they like it, that's all. But like when you're at art school, they tell you how to explain it because you know the gallery's got to try to sell it. What's a motive?
Well, you can't even guarantee that people will like it, though. Like with art, it's subjective. Like you have to accept that just as many people won't like it, if not more.
That is true. Now, so the reason I'm saying that, so with the kids' comics, so I had to explain. Yeah, I have to come up with a reason why we're doing what we're doing, and basically it's like saying, well, I'm looking at a 10-year period, and I'm looking at kids who like to draw, who like to doodle, who like to tell stories, who like manga, anime, comics, animation, cartoons, right? And so 10 years from when they actually have figured out everything they want to do about a story or where they want to go in life or be a game developer, here's a stepping stone to being able to tell it.
Yeah, you want to be that little bit of the history, that little touch.
I want to help them get to where they can get to 10 years from now. Or 8
Are you going to publish all the kids stuff? So if they like whatever kids hand them into you, you're putting them in your thing.
I'm gonna. It has to be completed, right? And the other thing was like I was gonna ask Shane if you can touch some up, just so that if it's penciled, if it doesn't.
Generally, as a rule, you're just going to respect the fact they're kids and they're creating. Yeah. That's cool. Why don't you? You're obviously going to have a digital copy at the end.
Pardon?
You have a digital copy at the end, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Why don't you get them to when they do their sub?
They're gonna have a completely what you call they're gonna have the printed copy, black and white, with a colored cover, back and front. What were we saying after that?
Why don't you when they do their submission, like ask them, because you're doing digital, you can have it digital, ask them for an email address of someone they want to gift it to when you do it.
Oh right, yeah.
And then that would be a cool way of spreading the word. You could chuck some Plunge advertising in the back and put it out there, and they could, dad or uncle could get their thing with their art in it, and that would be pretty cool.
No, the other thing was they're able to buy extra copies. Their parents
but not buying. Like kids, you gift a digital. You gift a digital to someone.
Yeah. Well, if they want, but like the thing is that they get physical copies of their work.
Well, that's cool. So they get a free issue.
Yeah, they get a free digital. Not digital. I keep saying physical. They get a physical copy of their work. So all the artwork will be collected physically. And
is that what you're funding?
Yeah, that's what we're getting. Trying to look for funding for.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so
it's nice.
Yeah, it's around about about $300 or something by the end of it all, or $500. I don't know what it is. I haven't looked at them quite recently, but basically, it's A4 size, so A5 size. Sorry, so it's about yay big. Yeah, something like that. No, actually,
folded A4.
Folded A4. So it's about about that.
Yeah.
So so it's
but I think most people know with the A4 folded in half what that looks like.
Yeah.
Would it have the card cover?
Yeah, I'm going to try to get a nice little, solid little cover on there.
Nice.
Hopefully everything works out to what we want. And yeah, and then we're just going to, I think we cost it about cost plus 20 or 30%, because it's going to, so it's really cheap when they get it. Not quality cheap, but they get, at a cheap price, extra copies on top of,
so it's between $300 and $500 to produce,
something like
approximately.
That. Yeah, depending on how we get it. If it gets photo printed, it's a different way. If it gets printed, it's a different cost. So at the end of the day, I mean, like, I want to develop these kids' creativity, and hopefully,
well, it's just an opportunity to showcase interest, isn't it?
Pardon?
It's just an opportunity to kind of showcase your interest and be part of the community.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not necessarily going to change their future, but it's an experience.
Yeah. And one day when they get on Patreon and they want a Patreon patronage, they'll have all these things to show what they were able to do back then, back now. So I think, yeah, it's that whole cycle of life. They say, you gotta be able to be willing to invest in the kids, because what's the point of just investing into you got to really invest in their development. I mean, I'm watching my nephew do that right now. We've gone from like him drawing pencil to being able to draw digitally now, right? And very quick on a tablet. And
I am for the kids, but like in a sense, when you talk about the Patreons and you've got these young people trying to cut time out and make something, or produce an animation or do this and that, there's not very much support for adults really generally, and like quite often they're more crushed than kids, like when they've grown up to be an artist and they haven't. And they, it's cool to help kids, but I mean, I think in general the art scene needs to be.
Well, I'm there, right? I'm there. I'm the adult who's trying to get all this stuff
exactly
done.
And it's still not easy in your space, like.
Right. But that's where I think the value of
you just want the kids to have a better go of it.
Well, yes and no, because they're developing what they're doing. But the other thing is that we're here for the adults, right? When it comes to us publishing our own comic books, we know we're here for the people who are actually at that stage of actually putting that stuff out and have done the work. They've done their hard comic book creation work, and we're going to look towards putting that out through us, through what we do with Plunge Studios and Oceania. But for the kids side of things, that's the kids side of things, building them to take over one day from us, right? And being able to carry on this part of literature that means more, has more financial involvement in it than any other form of literature, if people really think about it. Comics has more money involved than just books, right? These things don't have that much money involved until they get into movies, right? And so you could sell 1 million copies of that, but it still doesn't measure up to a merchandising value to it. I mean, of course, you got, when Clive was very smart, with the toys and stuff, whichever people he signed up with well, not that one, but with Hellraiser, as we talk about pinheads. I think they were going to put up a new pinhead sculpture out soon, figurine. They were talking about like pop vinyls are going to have a horror element series coming out soon. They've done Ash from Evil Dead. I'm just collecting a set of sci-fi. My favorite sci-fi movie of all time, Blade Runner. Didn't even know. Accidentally found out that is a pop vinyls, right? Finished off my X-Men series of pop vinyls. So I'm done with pop vinyls, and when it comes to comic books, I've just moved off from that. So, and now I want my pop vinyls of Incredible. Hopefully she'll look like this when we do the pop vinyl with her boots properly, which is missing down here. You only got the top of that. So, that's the image that I've sent through to get. And at the end of the day, someday these kids will have their own pop vinyls of their own characters, right? And there is also yourself there who, with the Dutch Hounds, might one day decide to do that as well. Because you already have I mean, you've done 3D animation, haven't you?
No, I studied 2D.
Okay. So so then there is that element there where you could actually create little 3-minute short animations or 3-minute animations that are incredible, in a battle that we could use to promote our comic book or our toy, and this is what I'm talking about. So like this is all this widening of our creativity in Whangarei that people aren't aware of.
I think I probably could make it like a game, like a little thing for Plunge. Like you asked, like you have to send me some images or let me know what I can use, and I could easily make something.
Yeah, I'll send you an image of of the cover.
I mean, can I just use some of your images?
I'll send you the actual cover of that Shane's done of the first of the thing of issue 1, because that way it'll all tie in, and then you could cut that cover up into that little slidey thing. Is that the one you're thinking about?
I'll try. Yeah, I can try.
Cool. All right.
No harm in trying.
Never any harm in trying. It's when you don't.
I think the sliding thing's probably harder, but I could do like a puzzle or something maybe.
Sure.
But
so you just want an image?
Well, I was thinking I was wanting to more, because that jumble one I made is like basically it's an engine that can be reutilized in different ways. So in a way, I like the presentation of that. That one's quite vibrant and got a lot to it. I mean, we could use the Plunge logo. We could use different stuff. I could take it back to a kind of match 2s thing and just make it personalized for you, which would be...
If you do match 2s, you could probably...
Yeah, and then just have some different characters on there.
You can work out from that.
And then the trick with those is like nice colorful things. So variety of colors is really the trick. I mean, I could add some little Easter eggs. I could put your face in it. You can match up some Arius.
Don't do that.
That'd be funny.
I have enough. I had to like not put my face on this proposal thing I'm putting together. It's like no faces on that.
Let's do that, because that's doable and it would be personalized for you. And so if you just give me some cool like pictures I can just snip and take bits out of, and your logos and things, I can chuck them all in there. You should put your face in there. Like, don't you want to be like the face of Plunge?
No.
No?
I'm the voice of Plunge.
I'll chuck my face in it.
I'm the voice of Plunge, not the face. Somebody else will be the face of it someday, but I'll be the voice of it for now. All right, so let's tie this down. It's 10 o'clock. It's 2 minutes from 10 o'clock, man. Hour and a half.
I should put it out there, like, I'm easy to get hold of, and so any of Ari's community who's like likes dabbling in game development or wants to try and learn more, or feels like they could help me on any of my projects, I'm more than happy to work with you. That little matchy thing needs a few polishing things and different creative ideas, and it can go many different ways, but even just different themes. So I mean, if you want to team up with me and like make a different theme and make a different thing and put it out there, totally up for it.
Awesome. All right, so thank you everybody who's watching, and everybody who'll be watching this later.